This program is brought to you by thepodcastfactory.com.
Welcome back to Death, Glory, or Disappointment. Here's the guy that does not care whether or not you listen, Mr. Dan Meredith.
Well, I hope you listen. That's probably the better way of putting that. I mean, I care. Like, Jonathan just fucking torpedoes me right and go, fuck you, Beardy. So yeah, I do care whether you listen. As I said, obviously, a couple of episodes ago, took a little pause to, you know, rethink and just recharge and make sure, you know, across the board, across the various mediums that I, you know, speak to the planet, that I'm adding the value that I see is the level I should be doing. And one of the things I did was I bought a lot of books, both fiction and non-fiction, and I find reading is a massively powerful thing for your imagination, for your mind, for your creativity, and for coming up with ideas, because, you know, a lot of, especially when it comes to business and marketing and mindset, and a lot of the things like that, it's all been done before. You know, obviously we now have the digital age, we're online, but, you know, a lot of the principles from the industrial age, you know, hundreds of years ago still apply today. So you can learn a lot from history, and I've been reading a lot of autobiographies. I just recently read one by Genghis Khan. Not an autobiography, he didn't write it, but a biography, sorry. So I've been reading about leaders, both good and bad. Another great book called 8 Keys to Greatness, which is about unlocking your potential. And Gene Landrum, who wrote the book, he basically studied people who'd achieved high levels of, let's just say, greatness in both good and bad things. So people, you know, from dictators to, you know, humanitarians. So it's just really how they did what they did. So been, you know, looking back over history, as well as, you know, just reading a lot of stories, just really recharging the brain. And one of the favorite ones I got, and I managed to get an advanced copy, and I've read it. Again, generally I read most books either halfway through, like taking the bits I want, or once, and I'm on my third read of it now, and it's by one of my favourite bloggers, one of my favourite people actually, Mark Manson, and it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And yes, it's a great title, obviously, as you know, someone who's written a book called How to Be Fucking Awesome. You probably imagine that I'd quite like that. And it's nice, it's different to mine though, because people say they don't give a fuck. And you can often, again, we're not going to name names because I could be such a bitch on this, but I won't. But there are people who put statuses up, especially on social media or on their emails, and they say they don't care and someone's done this or they've wronged them, they don't give a fuck, they don't give a shit, they're not bothered. I'm like, you are clearly enormously bothered.
Why are you clearly about it, bitch?
Yeah, you're saying you're not bothered, but what you've confused it with is being massively bothered. And I used to be too, you know, when my book first came out, I had like 15, you know, 5-star reviews and then 1 star, which turned out to be from someone completely psychotic, and we got it removed. But, you know, we had a joke the other day because I used to find, you know, negative reviews, negative comments, negative feedback, and it's not a lot, Jonathan. You know, it's obviously way more in the positive than the negative, but I mean, I'm sure you found this as well. When people start to put themselves out there, I mean, you've obviously got a lot of big names on your podcast list, you know, you get people who just hate on you. It doesn't matter what you do, you just got to understand you cannot make people happy. And I spent a lot of my life, I mean, I am a pleaser, you know, by nature. I like to make people happy. I wouldn't do what I did if I didn't, but I would always worry about the opinions of others. And I've realized there's only really a handful of people's opinion you should worry about. You know, your nearest and dearest, your loved ones, friends, family, spouse, partner, fuck buddy, you know, whatever's in that world there. Your team, so the people that you employ, and obviously the people that you serve. If it's outside of that remit, honestly, I just don't give a fuck anymore. If you don't like me, if you don't like what I put out, if you don't like anything I do, this podcast included, then you're welcome to go elsewhere. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything. I'm literally just trying to share, you know, my journey, my experiences, things that I've learned, things that I've spent a lot of money learning with people and hopefully they get benefit from it and apply it in their lives. But I used to spend, a friend of mine, Sean Whalen, who was a speaker at my Gary Vee event as well, he, has a brand called Lions, Not Sheep. And it's essentially the phrase, what was it, the lion doesn't trouble itself with the thoughts of sheep, something like that. There's some saying that people share on social media, that kind of bollocks. But it's right. I used to kind of be so worried what people would think of me, what people would say, how dare you do that? Who are you to write a book? What on earth are you doing opening a gym? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I'm like, why not? If you don't like it, please fuck off. Like, not nastily fuck off, not like smacking you in the face, just go away. You don't have to be here. You can go and follow someone else. You can go learn from someone else. And I think the kind of, the phrase of, not giving a fuck has been a little bit blurred. And that's what I liked about Mark's book, because he just really looked at a different way and actually looking at what you really do care about, like what is important to you. So if someone is mean to you on social media, or you get a bad review, or a client leaves you and badmouths you to someone else, yes, they hurt. But compared to, say, your health and wellness, your loved one's happiness, the impact you're making in the world, what the people that you're impacting in a powerful way, yet you worry about that one person or those couple of people. And I've just realised that as I've grown, I've never been one to want to upset anyone. I don't like upsetting anyone. It kind of stabs at me a bit. I don't ever want to hurt anyone. But I've realised that, I did this in a talk. I said, the only real estate I can never invest in is 6 inches long. And it's that 6 inches between your ears. Your thoughts, your feelings, what you think about me, others, whatever. That's your right. And you can think that. And it's my right to either listen to it if you're someone I see value in, if you're someone I believe in, if you're someone who has, trod the boards before me. But if you haven't, then politely, I can ignore you. And it's an extremely powerful thing to suddenly realize that those 1 or 2 people that give you shit or don't like what you do or are just negative for the sake of negativity, do you know what I just do, Jonathan? I block them. They're gone. Disappeared.
You're dead to me.
You have no bearing on my happiness anymore. But I wish you the best. Off you fuck.
How do you make that transition, though? Because I know a lot of people that are in that people pleaser mode, and it's hard to break out and not give a fuck.
It's like I said, it's a shocker, consistency. But it's like I mentioned it before with the whole Dan Kennedy thinking about people, 3-4 days on the trot in a non-positive way. Could be people, could be clients. And I just took that to heart, and I thought, why am I letting... So what you did, I'm letting other people control how I feel. No, you don't get to do that. This is my life. I'm going to live it however I want. My goal is to end up considerably more in the black, in the red when it comes to, both finance and influence and help. I want to, I've never hid that I want to be successful, but I've also never hid the fact that this came from a place of wanting to help others because I was helped when I started out. And I see it as my duty to kind of return the favor that people bestowed on me. And some people will call bullshit on that, and that's fine. Again, that's their opinion. But like I did, I had a bit of fun with, we called him 2-Star Tim. His name was Tim, and he gave me 2 stars on my book. And it was something quite funny. He said, it was like boring. All he talks about is genitals. And because I have got a smutty sense of humor. I grew up watching smutty, humor on BBC Two in the UK. I'd sneak downstairs and watch things like The Young Ones and Not the 9 o'clock News and Bottom and all these things because it made me laugh. I've got a very dirty sense of humor. So naturally that's going to translate into my writing and my content as well. I'm being me. But as I said, so 2-Star Tim, as we call him, he paid his money. So he bought a book. He has a right to give his opinion. That's fine. I've got no issues with that. And he has a right to not like it. He paid his money for him, not for his taste. okay, valuable. And that's it. So if someone's invested in you and paid money, like, I will listen. And like, to be honest with you, if it had been a bit more constructive, I might have taken heat and thought, okay, cool, good to know, good feedback for future, content I write. But just that, it's like, well, that's how I talk, so I'm not going to fucking change for you. But the people who give you, unsolicited advice, negative to you, they drag you down. Like, there's a couple of people who I was friends with at the start, and I persevered with these people for so long. But as soon as I just thought, fuck it, I'm blocking you. Like, not nasty, didn't say anything. It was just no kind of, when some people do that funny little thing where they send you a little shitty message and then block you so you can't reply. You're like, none of that bollocks. Just one day, they realised these people are taking up far too much of my headspace. Block, block, block. No malice, no drama. It's best for all of us that we just part company. And I think when you come from a place where you like to please people and you want to help people, you want to do all of that kind of good stuff, that's one of the hardest things to do, because it hurts when someone says something bad about you. But honestly, it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, if lots and lots and lots of people are saying bad things about you, you're probably doing something wrong. But it's human nature. We could have 100 good things and one bad thing, and we'll focus on the fucking bad thing.
Oh.
And it's like anything. It is a practiced art, and you just have to understand that as someone who's gone from terrified of upsetting someone to, well, I'm going to do it my way. I'd love it if you join me. I'm happy to help. If you don't like it, I don't care. There are thousands, millions of people you could learn from and get advice from, books, YouTube videos, coaches, people in the media, whatever. Pick who you like, go follow. You don't have to, this is it, you don't have to like everyone. Not everyone has to like you. And it's like I said, it's a wonderful book, and it's, it says a counterintuitive approach to living a good life is the strapline. And, one of the things he talks about in there is, just getting better at handling the negative side of things. Like, realistically, how much does it affect you? When you realize it's not a lot, it's incredibly liberating, mate. I mean, you must have had some people give you shit, obviously. You kind of come onto the scene, signed up some of the biggest names in the kind of marketing entrepreneurial space. I mean, surely you must have had some backlash from some jealous fuckers.
It's interesting. I feel like I don't get enough hate, and so that I feel like I'm not working hard enough. But I also grew up with my mom saying things like, if somebody says something you don't like, let me translate it. She would say it in Spanish, pass it where the sun don't shine. Like, it, okay? So I think I was already predisposed to not giving a fuck from when I was a kid.
Well, I mean, lucky you. I mean, this is something that I had to work on, and it's like, like resistance training or getting stronger or fitter. You can't, if you just get practiced at it, and your skin just gets thicker as it happens. And you've got to, I don't agree in being polarizing just for polarizing's sake, but I'm also very mindful that everyone is allowed their opinion. So I've got friends who are very much into manifestation and the universe and vibrations. And as I've said before, Dan, think that's a load of horse shit. But the caveat, and I always say, I said this in my book as well, always say this, if it's working for you, that's cool. Keep doing it. If any of the little nuggets that I give you with kind of my philosophy can be added into that world, wicked. And if you find my message totally off-putting, you think, oh, no, thank you. I believe in this. Awesome. There's loads of people who believe in it too. Go find them. Go learn from them. I'm not offended either way. But just because, like, for example, you've obviously had in America the elections.
Yeah.
And Trump and Hillary, fucking hell. I was watching it from this side, honestly, like the kind of that meme where it's like grabs popcorn. That's what it was like. We were just like, what is going on? Because it's so different to how we do things over here. But I had people, I'd see, friends tearing into each other over their choice of candidate. Yeah. And I went to see, and I won't say who, because obviously, it's their, political voting is their choice. I went to see two people I know that run a company. One of them staunch Hillary supporter, one of them a staunch Trump supporter. They completely disagree with the politics, but they're friends. The friendship is what's important. Like Jonathan, there are things that I imagine you believe in and like that I don't.
Sure.
I've got friends who are very, very religious, and I'm not one way or the other, but I'm not. And that's okay. Because if you really think there's, your God's belief, whatever, makes you happy and you believe in it and it gives you peace and freedom and what have you, awesome. I'm not going to try and persuade you to be mine, but I don't care if you like what I think or not, because I'm going to keep doing it anyway. I'm always interested in learning. I'm interested in hearing your point of view. I'd love to know about you and why you've gone that route. What is it about that you've chosen that you love? But I reserve the right to say thank you, interesting, not for me.
You know what it makes me think of, Dan?
It's so simple.
Makes me think of our first 2 seasons together. Dan is in the room. I'm like, get some fucking structure, man. but you came along. You came along, so I'm happy to see. It
just takes a little bit of time, Jonathan. Just a little bit. I'm aware of the frustration. Trust me, I could hear it in the voice a couple of times. I know.
I'm sure. But I like that you found that freedom inside structure. I love that.
Yeah, but this is the thing, mate. Like, I was going to live my life how I wanted to live it until I encountered a reason to start listening more.
Yeah.
So I didn't really give a fuck, and not about you, but just anyone else's opinion on how I live my life. Well, it's my life. I'll do what I want.
Right.
When I came to the conclusion through my own trial and error that what I was doing wasn't serving me, that's when I was open to other ideas. So the whole 0 fucks given philosophy, yeah, it's a great way of living life, but not at the expense of your loved ones, nearest and dearest friends, colleagues, who you serve, your customers. You always have to, I just say, be mindful of that. They're the people that count. They're the people that should listen to you. If I suddenly said, I don't know, let's think of something really controversial. Okay, setting coffee down, I'm only going to be coaching women with big boobs from now on because I like that. Okay? And ladies, I'm not saying that. This is just trying to pick some. That will piss people off. So if I said I'm changing the direction of the group, this is women only, minimum of a D cup, entrepreneurs, that's it. Like, that would be a stupid thing to do, but if I did that and I get a huge backlash, maybe I'd probably quite listen and go, do you know what? I made a mistake, hands up, I'm sorry.
I'll accept B cups.
To be honest, mate, any from A to enormous, I just love boobs, so sorry about that. I'm unapologetically full of testosterone and disgustingly straight. Women are fucking awesome. Anyway, sorry, gone off into a random little horny chat there in the middle of a podcast. What the fuck are we talking about? Sorry. I just started thinking about boobs then, totally lost my train of thought.
What right.
What are we talking about?
What
the fuck are we talking about?
Not giving a fuck.
Yes, I know. There you go. Great answer. I've just, on my own podcast, started talking about boobs. But again, I'm being unapologetically me. If I had a huge backlash about something that I'd done, I'd obviously listen. If the reason I stopped drinking, I didn't give a fuck, mate. I was happily drinking a bottle of vodka a day, running a business, party boy Dan. I was training every day still. It wasn't affecting my life until someone, very close to me said, the reason, this can't pursue this friendship is because you're doing this. And it fucking was like a fucking knife to the heart, mate. So hence why I just stopped, like cold. So, yeah, not giving a fuck is a great way to live, but you always have to be conscious who you're not giving a fuck from. And if it's from people that generally have your best interest at heart, they care about you, they love you, they invest in you, whether it's with their time, their energy, or their money, then you do need to give those people some credence, because it's a delicate balance there. Sometimes you'll find people that just want to hold you back when you're growing, when you're trying to, launch businesses and put yourself out there more and stretch yourself. It's tricky. It's really, really tricky to get that balance right, because sometimes people just don't want you to grow. They like you where you are, they want to keep you where they are because it kind of shines a light on them and what they're not doing. But then there are times when there are behaviors and actions and things that you're doing that are harming you and others around you, and then that's when you should give a fuck.
There's interesting.
So I think it's a tricky one.
No, there's an underlying message here that I want to shine a light on, which is something that you've said the whole time. There's a difference between not giving a fuck and not caring. So I think there's a subtle difference there that you've laid out for us. And if you guys didn't hear it, just listen to the episode again, and it's in there. But Dan, you want to tell us what's coming up next time?
Well, next time, Jonathan, and this is in the true scope of Dan doing things, is I don't know. But
all right.
By the time we get round to recording it, I will. And that, my friend, is the power of consistency. Don't know what the fuck it's going to be, but it'll be there.
Fair enough. That's a wrap for another Death, Glory, or Disappointment. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, Dan, thank you for caring about us, but not giving a fuck what we think.
You've been listening to Death, Glory, or Disappointment with Dan Meredith. If you enjoyed the show and you want more, then your next step is to go to iTunes right now and subscribe. And while you're there, give us a rating and review. It'll help us out a bunch, plus it'll bring you good karma.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.